Good evening, it's Quizzy Monday again. We are back with you tonight, and we have a very special guest. Joining myself and Lewis tonight, we got Harry Solomons, captain of the winning team from Only Connect tonight. So we will be chatting about all things Only Connect. We'll then move on to Mastermind and University Challenge. And before we finish off with your quiz news from the last week in the world of quiz. So lots to come tonight. It might be a little short, rapid show, but that still means we will have time for your comments. And I'm looking in here, and who have we got? Gothic Games says hello and good evening. And Gerard says, evening all. YouTube is an odd place. I was just watching a video about the cultural stereotype of the Chad and seeing how the Republic of Chad measures up to it. Truly an odd place, Gerard, but you have a home here, so all is well. Before we get going, there's a few little notices from us. We have a website. We've had it for a little while, but put some work into it. So check it out. It is allthingsquiz.com. One of the things you can see in there are the results from things like the vote for Quizzer Team of the Week, what is the question, and all the full scores from our Mastermind prediction competition. So look out for that. This week, we've released our Popmaster review video. Watch that if you haven't already. There is an opportunity for you to win a copy of the game. All you have to do is sign up for our newsletter. Go to our website, allthingsquiz.com, or there is a link within the video description for a sign-up form. So look out for those. We also did a video today on the first of the Nobel Prizes. Is just a 30-second short on YouTube. We're going to be doing shorts for each of the Nobel Prizes, telling you what you need to know in this Nobel Prize season. So lots happening right now. Oh, more people coming in. Paul, good evening. Claire, phenomenal score from Edinburgh tonight. It was. We will get on to that. But before we get on to all of that, let us bring on our guests. We have Lewis and Harry. Good evening, both.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good to have you on, Harry. That was a really entertaining match. But I don't know how I would phrase it without sounding kind of indelicate, but
there were a few sitters that we missed. I think it's fair to say.
That wasn't quite what I was getting at, but now you come to mention it. Talk us through. Now, how was that game for you? Watching it back.
Watching it back was actually pretty good. I think going back to the first episode we were in against Lewis, we don't hold the grudge. It's all right.
Good.
I think this one sort of we felt that like the initial scariness was out of the way, and I feel like the first match was quite humbling for us. I think we weren't necessarily showing it, but I think we had a certain level of thinking we were a bit better at it than we were, and that first match definitely reminded us that wasn't right. But it was good to be able to get a few, I think, obscure decent scores on the board, get a few things out of the way, get a bit of a rhythm going. And so, yeah, this one felt a lot better.
Interesting you use the word scared, because you're up against Lewis's team, who you may or may not have recognised from other TV shows, but I guess they've also played an awful lot of connections style quizzes as well outside of that. How much were you aware of the pedigree of Lewis's team when you came up against them?
Without meaning to sound too disrespectful, we weren't really.
I think completely correct. I'm not a known quantity, Harry. It's fine.
I think we're very much outside of that, or we were outside of that world, and so for us coming in, pretty much the only experience we had was watching it on TV, and so we were just sort of flying by the seat of our pants and hoping that what came up sort of fit into our strengths.
So being scared then was more about not having done telly before? Was that it?
That was a big aspect as well. I think just not quite knowing what to expect, not quite knowing where we stood in relation, sort of whether or not we belonged with the other teams, because I think people showed up with varying but a generally high level of, if not necessarily experience, obvious competence that we maybe didn't have as much of.
Lewis, from the other side of the studio, I mean, we talked about obviously your match when it happened, but now that Harry's here, you can be nice about him. So, that makes it sound like he wasn't before. You can watch it back. Add one to the viewer numbers. But Lewis, from your side of the studio, when you're looking at a team like the Solomons family, there might be when you're a battle-hardened quizzer, there might be a temptation to take like a family team for granted, to think that maybe they're kind of casual quizzers, out for a bit of a jolly. What was your view when you sat across from them?
Well, certainly when we first sat down, we were sort of pleased it was people we didn't know, because we knew that there was at least 3 teams on that were people we knew. And one of the things that we wanted, I know I wanted from the experience, was to meet people and like have a really fun time doing it. So like it was really great to meet the Solomons, who are just fantastic, funny people. Mark's so funny. He cracks me up on Facebook with his nonsense. It's mostly nonsense, but it's very enjoyable nonsense. And they're just we had the match went well for us, obviously, but I don't think by any means was it like a trouncing. I think it was a good match. I really think it could have gone either way. In our match, Solomons was so good in the second round, and then maybe just a little bit unlucky on the wall. I felt like that's rewatching it. I felt really like lucky rewatching that first match, because they would. So, and there was really very little in it. We got a 5 on a thing that I think was eminently fiveable. So we were really glad afterwards. I remember talking about it on the way to the train with Jack and Nina, that we were so glad the format works the way it does, and you get to see the same people again, and everyone gets a second chance, because we knew they could have a really good chance of getting that next match and getting through to the next round, which obviously they did. I think we also briefly spoke to the volunteers who were around in the room as well. Obviously, they had been whooped in their first match by an amazing score from the Mercians. So I worried for them that they would feel a bit bruised from it, and not maybe be able to fly fully into it with that, because it's a short day, right? Like, it's a very short amount of time to film 2 episodes of television. It does really fly by. And even with a break of 1 game between that they've had, like I still think it's a lot to try and get over a shellacking like Pam and Ian and Jamie gave them. So I was glad. I'm glad that the format allows both these teams to be seen again, because I think the main thing is everyone just came across so well. I think it proves it today. Like Harry, it must be an absolute dream and a delight to have Victoria. Like Victoria normally does like a tweet about the show, but to specifically ahead of broadcast have a funny clip of you guys having some top banter must have been amazing.
I think looking back at the first episode, she said something about us, and it was along the lines of a lovely, normal family. And we were sort of talking to each other. It's like, we've never had that leveled at us before.
Well, it's a first time for everything. Lewis talking about that coming back from a defeat. So you'd played his team. Volunteers had been beaten by the Mercians. In a way, knowing the opposition are already also coming off the back of a defeat, does that make it in some way kind of easier or less daunting for you going into that next match?
I think so. I think we were hearing some of the chatter about the Mercians, though, and we were hearing about the high score, and so we were like, well, you can't really make a judgment of the other team for losing to that, because I think it's such a ridiculous level. I think we were a little encouraged by the fact that when we came up against the Video Nasties, we were you saying you felt it was close the whole way, we felt like we were hanging on by a thread, and then right up until the missing vowels when Jack just blew us out of the water.
Yeah, he was very good.
So I think we're kind of in, maybe to less an extent, but still licking our wounds a bit from that one. And the idea that we were coming up against a team doing the same thing, I think, was a little reassuring. Yeah.
I mean, firstly, Pam from the Mercians says, well done, Solomons. Good to see you, Pam, although dock your point for being late. Not good enough. Well, we'll find out how you did in the mastermind thing a little bit later. If you'd been concerned before going in to the match, round 1 would have settled your nerves, wouldn't it? Because your questions, you did really well on them. You picked all three of them up and there's particularly been some chat about the Ray Reardon. So that Widow's Peak one was a good guess to go for at the end of that round. And confident team play. How did it feel in that first round then? Once you got going.
Again, I think it comes back to that rhythm of you get a couple, you start feeling, oh, you know what, this could be our day. Things are falling our way. The Widow's Peak one, I think, was perfect for us because it really fit into our various strengths. So it had that incredibly obscure trivia that is Dad's specialty. I think if you ask Dad a question about sports stars from the 70s and 80s, he'll just get it right every time. And Naomi's very, very quick on the word ones, I think.
Yeah, she got the first Clico reference, didn't she? Yeah.
Yeah. And so for my job, really, it was just all I had to do was press the buzzer. But that one, I think,
taking the risk on it, it was good play, and sometimes that's what you have to do as a captain, right? You have to go, no, we are going to go for it. And it was so I think that thing about rhythm and finding your way into the game. I don't think I've ever seen a better round for that you got your first question where it was a good answer on the musical genres. Then I loved how on the second question with the sporting halves, which I thought was a really good question, you sort of fell into the right answer. And I was like, yeah, when you got it, I was so pleased. Yeah, that's it. I hadn't worked it out until you said it. And I was like, yeah, that is it. Of course it is. And you like being sort of prompted and falling into the better version of the answer was great. And then it just felt like a little bit of confidence flowing for you guys there that you could go, yeah, we do that. I thought it was such that get, and yeah, your dad being so sure of Ray Reardon, that was just really good that you could see that much of a man's head. Yeah, I know that is. And even I think the verb clico is such an interesting clue because it's weird. It's rare to see oh no, this is like a whole phrase that we're showing. This is a brand name that we're showing you. That could kind of confuse me first of all to see it, but the fact you guys you weren't shaken by it there, you were in the zone, and it was a really, really impressive first round with that 1 point pickup on the Richards as well.
I think we definitely came into the game thinking there were a couple in the first round where we were sort of we could have buzzed in earlier, we could have taken a bit of a risk, and this one we were like, you know what, if the chance presents itself, just do it. Yeah, put the cards on the table, go for it.
Good, love it.
But there's an element of that captaincy because going into that question, it was 4 points to 2 to yourselves. So gambling for that 3 points, yes, the reward's there, but get it wrong, and that round could easily be 4-3. And then the game has tightened up a lot going into round 2. Is there time to do that sort of calculation, that sort of strategization, or do you kind of gut feel, urged on by your team? How does it work?
If I'm being completely honest, Lewis, you might have a very different experience of this because you've got a little more experience captaining a quiz team. But for me, I had no idea what the score was at that point in time. I did not have a clue. The only times I knew what the score was when she read it out between rounds. That was it.
I think I was the same. Even though I've got the experience, I feel like I was very much the same as you. I've been on teams last year when I was on University Challenge with Andrew Fisher. Andrew Fisher, during anything, all he's concentrating on is what the score is. And I'm thinking, Andrew, listen to the question. But I know that actually what he's doing is he's calculating the exact score and what it should be. To the point when on our first episode last year of University Challenge, he corrected them and he was right about what the score was. But I'm always very much in the moment. I'm not thinking about those things. I maybe have an idea if we're ahead or not. But it's hard to know sometimes, right? You just forget things. It all goes so quickly. So yeah, I'm not necessarily always thinking about the long game, but sometimes it is just that thing of going, oh, do we risk it? And there's always going to be a reward, hopefully, if we do, rather than going, the points might be closer if we end up failing here. But I'm sure there are captains that do. There's captains in the chat. I'm sure that's
yeah.
I don't know. There's being tactical and there's being too much. I can't. There's too much to think about for me. I've got a small brain.
I mean, I love both teams. Last time we saw you and went into this game thinking, I don't really have a favourite. I tell you the moment where I started marginally rooting for the Solomons, when you said Horned Viper. And I'm very much in the camp of there's an apostrophe in that word. I know it's a Marmite thing, but when you said Horned Viper, I said, Yeah, these people are sound. I'll be quite happy if they win. So well done on that. Jack saying a really enjoyable match. Solomon's have been such a lovely team so far.
Yeah, we turn heel in the next episode. So.
Well, Jack, as Claire says, are you expecting them to change, Jack? Well,
yeah. Wait till the next episode. Dad put someone through a table.
Oh, I can't wait for that. As long as it's not Victoria Coren in one of her, intro monologues, that would rather ruin the show.
You never know.
Round 2, we've had reference to it in the chat. I noted it down as the Horrible Histories King's song. So Chris has been saying about the Willy Willy Harry Steve.
That's exactly how I got it. Thinking of Charlie Hicks
a lot of on that one. That must have been frustrating for you though, because you knew exactly what it was on about.
Yeah, it's it was one of those ones where I kind of had it in my head, and it was something I was relying on, just like an audio memory more than anything else. And I was sort of looking to my left and right, and Naomi and Dad were more at sea than I was, and so it was just a case of a bit of a missing an open goal there. But
you got a name from the area. It's not like you said Sebastian. Like, it was a name that fits in the general scheme of things, if not in the right order. So I think it was a good pun.
Yeah. And with Willie Thorne, we got our second snooker player of the night.
It was great for snooker.
Great night for snooker. Oh, good all round. Lewis, what about your take on the second round? What jumped out?
It was an interesting one, wasn't it? Because it was all 2 pointers or X's, which was interesting. I thought that run with that question. I thought it was interesting. Neither team got the elementary My Dear Watson one. I thought we don't have elementary schools here, right? So that's what I'm going to blame it on. Like, it's easy enough to slip when it's an American phrase like that.
Yeah.
But I was obviously shouting Smeagol at my screen and then just going because that's the sort of fun that I have in my house. But
that
one,
I think. Sorry, I was just going to say that one, embarrassingly, is a huge blind spot for us. I think, Lord of the Rings is, I think, the single biggest topic that the three of us know the least about. I think.
I think it's okay to miss, really. It's not, especially in a competition like this. It's probably going to come up once, if that. You're mostly fine. There's not a lot else to know.
And I think actually it was quite tricky, because if you don't recognise Sauron, you're not going to get it from the next two, because Sauron's the one famous character in that first three names. So
yes, Isildur and Deagle are much less famous. Yeah, you're right.
And you were kind of in the right, but it's like it does require actually knowing the plot, which was tricky. So Pam's favourite question tonight was elementary My Dear Watson. She worked back from My Dear, yes.
So we were in sort of the same boat, but I think we got into the mindset of, I think it was My Left Foot, Dear Evan Hansen. And we were like, well, what's the film title?
Yes.
The first one. We were so dead set that they were films. And so I think we were saying Play School or Our School, which I think is a film that's had recently come out when we filmed it. And we just could not find elementary in there.
Yeah, I totally get that. I think it maybe they probably could have changed the clue in the second or third to take you away from that film thing, because I certainly like in Connections League, sometimes when I'm hosting a game, there'll be an inadvertent thing like that, and it will make people think the wrong thing. So there's a question last week where it was physical constants and like the numbers that they represented, and the two middle ones were all capital letters, and it made people think, oh, okay, well, there's a pattern with lowercase uppercase. There wasn't. It was just we were using the capitals to show that things are uppercase. But people, it's very easy for three pieces of information to create a pattern in your mind, right? And I think, you're right. That's if I was stuck on the film thing, never ever getting that. So I totally understand that.
Yeah, it was some, again, with a lot of things in Only Connect, if you don't see it, you're not getting it. But it does rely on that. Was going frankly, My Dear. Yeah, that's frankly school. But Chris has also asked a question here. The Wilder poster behind Harry is doing my head in. Can't work it out. What is the poster, Harry?
I'll briefly pan upwards. So it's Some Like It Hot, but in Italian, which might be where the
Nice.
Nice.
confusion comes in there.
Beautiful.
Nice vintage poster, that. There was one thing in the first 2 rounds, which was a bit of a talking point, and maybe there's something that happened in studio, was the Birds of Prey and the silent D, and the fact that she allowed the Birds of Prey, which felt a bit generous, and then kind of had to allow the silent D. Was there any kind of pause or conflab over those ones?
I don't think there was any bickering, I think, at least formally. I think I could hear Dad muttering under his breath, but then we got very, very lucky with the silent D as well. So I think afterwards, and also I guess with Birds of Prey, it's in the right ballpark, and I think they knew a few of the clues as well. So at the end of the day, we couldn't be too upset at that. And then of course the lenience sort of flows both ways.
That's it, isn't it? I think that's one of the things that can be quite good about the show, that you often aren't going to have perfect answers. That's the fun of it, and part of it is that sometimes you will need a judgment that requires a little bit of leniency, and as long as it is fairly meted out to both teams and you both get a shot at it, then yeah, you're fine, aren't you, really?
Yeah.
And I mean, going back to the halves in the first round as well, that one, I think with a little less leniency, we would have been shut down.
Yeah, I can see that.
When we gave a half right answer. And in that case, we would never have had the time to stumble into it. So
there's generally more generosity, isn't there, in the first round, and then it get tighter and tighter as it goes on. As Lewis said, as long as it's consistent, not favouring one team over another, then that's all you can ask for. 11-4 going into the walls. You must have felt this is going rather better than last time. But then the wall. That didn't look like fun.
Tough wall.
It was
really tough wall.
Yeah, I think we were still a little shell shocked from the wall the first time we went up, and that one. This one, I think, frustratingly, I think we had all of the information there. We knew everything we needed to know. We just could not piece things together, and we were just short. We knew the castles, and then we just completely forgot that they were castles.
Yeah, we've seen it happen time and again. It's hard, particularly when there's only 2 things that you were the things you were searching for, and then there's 2 others where you're like, I don't know what these are. It sometimes you can easily forget that that's the thing you decided linked the other 2, and you think, oh, maybe they're linked by something else. I think that one was, it's unfortunate, but like that can easily happen. We've seen it so many times. Yeah. But they all felt like ones where you had a good idea of what the groups are, but the 4 particularly that were in it were always moving, and there was a lot of, like the Sambuca one. I had no idea that was an instrument. That was really, really tough to ever think that, of the ones that were there, it's one of the ones I'd be most sure was just the alcoholic drink. I think you guys were really, really unlucky with it, because you clearly knew the stuff. It can be frazzling.
Yeah. But there's also a sense, once the wall had been solved, that sometimes your brain goes down this weird little cul-de-sac in that, you can convinced yourself that Corf was Corfu with a letter changed, then presumably that Bodiam was like Bodrum, but with a letter changed, and then before you know it, you've, as you say, you've overlooked the guess that you had earlier for what the connection is, and you've gone down another route. How much does the time pressure and the stress of the game, the overall game situation, kind of play on you when you're going through that, and then you've got that little bit of time after the wall's been resolved to try and come up with those answers? How easy is it to think clearly in that circumstance?
I think it's quite difficult. I think the other thing as well is that throughout the rest of the show, you're only really given, 40-second chunks to think on your own and talk amongst yourselves. And then for the wall, it's this huge chunk of time where there's nobody coming to get you out of it. It's just like you're in it, only your team are talking to each other. And so it is very much just like you can get so into your heads and then the panic just sets in and you've got nowhere to go.
You haven't got the relief of a next clue like you might do in the other questions as well. Like you can ask for it and get more information, but it's just no. These 16 things are going to stay the same for these 2.5 minutes, and poking them as much as you can might not do anything to them at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a bit in the wall you can see where I had 3 locked in for the alcohols, one of them being Sambuca, so it was always going to be wrong.
Yeah.
And then manically, I just start every single possible group that could be made out of those 3. So for a good, I think, 20 seconds of the time, I'm just mashing buttons on an iPad and getting absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, the relief, you don't have time to, because we didn't know what they were, that big like sort of crescendo and then the silence and then you're answering questions. You don't have the opportunity to sit back and say that's done. You've still got to activate, and that was tough, definitely.
Yeah.
And I thought the volunteers wall, I thought they coped with it really admirably. And I guess when a team does kind of, they got the World 66 World Cup set quite quickly, and then that helped them get the police set. There's a temptation to think that it's perhaps an easy wall or an easier wall. But I thought that Inver connection was, well, unless you're Scottish,
nonsense.
Horrible.
Yeah.
I know Liam Toms was delighted because one of them was where he's from, I think. But I was going, what? Inverness, sure. The other 3, what are you on about?
Yeah. Because
I think Kirk was in one of the other sets as well, which is such a Scottish word that you were certain it has to go with Ness and
it felt like a good fit, right? When you know one thing, totally.
Yeah, it could have been quite the difference if they'd have managed to pick that up and got that extra 3 points to bring them to within 2 of you going in for the missing vowels. But watching it yourself, how did you find it? Obviously you haven't got the stress, you haven't got the pressure. But what did you make of it, Harry?
Watching about the walls, particularly.
Yeah, watching about the volunteers wall.
Yeah, I think what you said is good. It felt like an easier wall, but that's because they did so well out the gates and they got those 2 groups. And the thing is, as soon as you take one group out of the occasion, out of the situation, if the knowledge is there, then the rest of it does fall into place quite easily. So I think they made it look a lot easier than it was. So I think watching on TV, we'd spotted that group. So I watched it with my dad, and my mum and my sister came around. So we had a bit of a family watch of that. And the thing is, we knew that group was there, but just knowing it's there and knowing the 4 and being able to pick them out at that speed, obviously very different things.
Yeah. I mean, it's still meant for a potentially tight finish. Going into the vowels 11-16, it would have needed a very strong performance by the volunteers, and you didn't give them a sniff, really, did you? I think they started okay, but then you kind of, you all square on the first set, and then you won 3-1 on the second set. Was there a point at which you started to relax and think, okay, I think we got this?
I think when it got to the Go ones, the first one that comes up is a board game. And I think at the time of filming, me and a friend had been frantically trying to learn how to play Go for around 3 weeks. And I was texting them about it, and they were like, it's a proper sort of Slumdog Millionaire moment where
nice,
just perfectly aligned. And then, of course, I missed the Pokemon game one, which still surprises me.
But I think it was confusing, right? Because you were obviously it's things that are called Go, so they want it's Pokemon Go, but just with the G there at the end, I think it very much led into going, Pokemon game, but thinking Pokemon Go, and then moving away from it very easily.
Well, for me, it was the NG together, and I was like, that's an ING sorted.
Nice,
I can buzz and it will come to me in the split second, and then that was the point I looked at it. I was like, oh no, this is completely different.
I mean, it was a strong team performance through that. You ended up 5 points clear, 23-18. By that point, then, having won, you've got that win under your belt. You know you're playing a third game. Has the terror of being in the studio abated somewhat?
I think so. I think we turned up saying, 2 goals. 1, don't embarrass ourselves. Well, 3 goals. 1, don't embarrass ourselves. 2, take 1 win home with us at least. And 3, try not to be made to sing a song. At that point, I think we were riding high on all 3.
Massive.
And so it was, at that point we knew, because after we filmed that, we went away and we didn't come back for another couple months really to film it. And we were just like, well, whatever happens in the next game, we've got this under our belts, and we've got 2 solid-ish scores to show for it as well.
And did you imagine? Obviously, it's a big break between what was that we filmed in March, right? And it's October now. Yes, it's October. It's 7 months later. Did you go? We will become a sort of universally beloved family on Twitter. Like, did that ever consider? Because I really can think of, we look at the comments. Most weeks, Gareth has to do a tweet where he says, "Just be nice about people, please," because people are weird on Twitter. But I've only seen lovely things about your family. Like, genuinely, people have been so effusively lovely about all of you. Was that something you expected at all?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think the thing is, all 3 of us are on Twitter a lot. I think we're very Dad being a journalist is I think frantically vanity searching, and Naomi being in academics has to use Twitter to promote her own work. And so I think we were just worried. We were like, if we come across badly, we don't have a choice but to look at it. And I think we were especially just like, we are going to need to stop Dad from replying to people who are mean to him. We're going to have to hold him back. But no, it's been absolutely lovely, I think, to see the reaction. And it's been shockingly positive, which is really surprising.
Yeah, it really, it's rare. It really is rare. I really hope. I mean, other than the guy who does the caricatures, who I would say maybe has committed a hate crime. I think
as David Baddiel.
Yeah, twice. It's really bizarre. It's a really weird choice from him.
And Dad's right there.
Yeah. But yeah, I think people have been deservedly lovely, and when those lovely thoughts are also being led by the borderline national treasure who runs the program. It's so nice, and I've been so. It's been so nice for me to look at those comments about you guys, because you completely deserve it, because you're just lovely people.
Oh, it's very kind of you to say. I think also what helped us is in the studio, we were, I think, lucky enough in our first 2 games to play 2 of the nicer teams we could have hoped for. And you guys are the volunteers
there's rotters on this series. Some of them are in the chat. I'm not going to bring them up.
Well, I'm no judge. We didn't end up really meeting any of the other teams, but the 6 of you we met were just so overwhelmingly friendly from the day we turned up, and so that really put our minds at ease.
Good.
Lovely. We got Claire Barrow on the singing issue. I was so disappointed we didn't get to sing in our first match. Oh, maybe I'm reading too much into it, Claire. But maybe
it's been a singing light series, I'd say. That's definitely one of the trademarks of the show, and there's been very, very little. I'm sure Claire would have been happy with, which I think was a really good Portillo joke at the end of the show today. I saw when she mentioned Chinese boats. I saw where she was going. I was looking forward to it. It did not disappoint. But yeah, it's been, there's not been that much singing. I mean, hey, he's speaking about the king of singing.
Yeah.
Of course he would. I mean, I will say this a million times. If you've not seen Gerard singing Gold, it's literally the best part of the show that ever happened is Gerard singing Gold and then Pete singing Gold. It's a perfect moment of television. But yeah, it's you guys said you were pleased that I'd have loved, you know me, I'd have loved to sing a song. I'll have a go. Sadly, we haven't had one in our first episode. Maybe we'll have one in the future. I literally don't remember. The future has not been written yet, or something.
No, not well. I mean, it has been recorded though. So we're going to have to move on, because this whole kind of pacey, not spending too long on things.
We've done 35. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So what was your highlight of the game, Harry?
I think as a team, it was the Widows question. It's incredibly satisfying. Personally, grabbing that half sporting one, I think is the moment I'm going to take with me to the grave from this show. That's
Yeah.
That's the one where I'm just looking back on replay. I'm just like, even I didn't think I was going to get that one. So,
Yeah. Nice.
that was my
Lewis,
personal.
what was your highlight?
Yeah, I'm completely Harry on the second one. Like that was my favorite. You know, I'm always enjoying the show. It's been lovely to see all these people that I've got to know on this season. And you know, you go along, you enjoy the show, you feel emotional, you go, yeah, cool. But really, like the sort of involuntary, yeah, when Harry just did that little extra bit of information, it was like, yeah, totally love that bit on that part. Good question as well. Like, you know, we sometimes have a go at the question writers on the show. I do certainly, but I thought that was a really nicely done question, and to see it answered as it deserved with a lovely little moment like that was really great, Harry.
Yeah, no, I would go along with that one as well, because by the time it got to vol in tennis, I thought, oh, well, it must be that all of these have LEY after them. Maybe there's
just
a
trying to make it work.
Nelly in wrestling, and it just was ridiculous. And the half volley, half Nelson, that was sweet. So really, really enjoyed that. So yeah, well done, the Solomons family. We get to see you again. We'll really look forward to that. We're going to move on and look at Mastermind now. I'm just going to play a couple of quick videos before we do. Huge thanks to our community of All Things Quiz members. Your support helps us to keep this channel going. It pays for essential running costs. Now, if you want to become a member of All Things Quiz, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/allthingsquiz. And from £3 a month, you not only get to support the work of this channel, but there are a range of member benefits available, including our monthly quiz. Hope to see you soon. And in our monthly quiz was last night, and Andrew Fanco won it. Very, very good performance by him, holding off John Violent and Michael McPartland. So now on to Mastermind predictions, and I'll play another video. Okay, them's the rules. These were tonight's most predicted answers. Richard Thompson, Hugh Cornwell, Fairport Convention, Jerry Rafferty, Ted Lasso, AFC Richmond, came up in the introduction. So unfortunate to all of those who put it in. Pep Guardiola, Greyhound, Joan Didion, who I'd not heard of and sounds really interesting. Sacramento Vogue and William Verster and Gandhi, Porbanda, Alfred High School, and South Africa. What do we make of tonight's specialist subjects?
Good range, I thought. Interesting range, and some really expertise. You know, clearly there. The scores. I like Ted Lasso. I think it's broadly fine. I've watched it all. It's fine. It's fine. It's every time that they get something about football slightly wrong, it annoys me. But incredible knowledge on that. One of those questions, and on Gandhi, which is one of those things, even when you cut it down to the early life of a man so culturally and historically important, that's a lot to know about a life, and incredible performance on those. And the other two did very well too. It was really just a very good episode with a good selection of questions.
Yeah, Harry, now with your eyes wide open to the world of TV quizzing, do you kind of put yourselves in their position, thinking, what would I do?
I think so, yeah. You start thinking about the specialist subjects, and I think looking at today's, it was impressive to see 4 subjects from such a wide range of things. And looking at them all, I was like, I know nothing about it's like four gaps in my knowledge from across the spectrum of possible questions, which is a really remarkable thing.
What would you choose if you were on, Harry, off the top of your head?
Oh God. Either I would do the TV show Community, just because
yes.
Over lockdown it became my sort of like comfort rewatch show, right. So I've seen it enough times. Or I think I'd go as niche as possible and do something like the WWE post 2016 and see what I can pick up.
That'll be popular in the chat.
At that point, Michael McPartland has just punched the air. I'm sure he's busy writing a comment. Yes, that would go down well.
Great
Going
choices.
niche never really hurts on
No.
Mastermind. I thought it was let's say a good selection. The Richard Thompson one. I was surprised Fairport Convention was a point, because it was kind of
The one
basic.
thing
Oh,
that I
hang
know
on,
about
hang
Richard
on.
Thompson.
Yeah. No stealing WWE. But yeah, so I thought that was kind of obvious. But thereafter, there was a lot to that subject. The Ted Lasso one, having watched the whole series, I thought actually I could probably have done all right, given a piece of paper and some time. But to perform as well as Lisa did,
Yeah, superb.
getting 12 out of 13 was
Really deep.
really, really good. Jane Hill, Joan Didion, 11, and then Krishna getting all 12 on Gandhi. It was just one of those shows where you think this is going to be really, really tight, and it turns out to not be.
No, incredible performance on the general knowledge. One of the best for a while. Really smashed it.
Yeah, I mean, Jane was just. It's interesting, the ones that she got wrong, they kind of were toss-ups. It was like, what sport is Take Me Out to the Ball Game? Is kind of a toss-up of American sport.
Yeah.
A king's name, toss-up. PO, the chemical element,
Yeah.
It could be, well, it is polonium, but you'd be forgiven.
There's other P's that he's, definitely.
And the three figures from mythology, and you go for the muses, not the three graces. It's like every single one of the ones she got wrong, she kind of yinged when she could have yanged. It was
definitely.
it's like she could have had an absolutely monster general knowledge score. It was superb play by her, and that's not to put the others down, because double figures, for example, for Bob is very good score in Mastermind. Just tonight wasn't. She won by 6 clear points.
Yeah, I think it just shows how it can be, particularly in the early rounds. It's quite a different show, I think, than later on. In the early rounds, you can sort of get by with an okay specialist score, but if you blast the general knowledge, you can get through quite easily. But, that very much depends. We've seen so many where there's been 2 great players in one heat, maybe, but odds are that you can score an early 20 score and still take a win. Whereas later, you just have to have both. And it's rare that you can do so well in your first and then do poorly in the general knowledge. That just doesn't seem the case. Whereas you can maybe get 6 or 7 and then get 16 or so on your general knowledge and still make it through.
Yeah. We got some comments coming through. Chris is suggesting a subject: Italian dubbed Wilder film.
Gerard, it's just the posters, I'll be all right.
Good point for Gerard. Community must have a wealth of detail. And this is where it comes to the cleverness of picking a subject, because my memory of Community, and I haven't watched it for a couple of years, is that it is so filled with references to other things that actually it could just potentially be a nightmare. That, with all the plot points and quotes and
I think it would be. It's on my first choice that I would want for anything is a sitcom, American sitcom, 100%. It would be Community, The Office, or 30 Rock would probably be my dream ones. And that's mostly because I would remember most things because the jokes are so good. Like, I would just remember punchlines and setups, and also it'd be funny to have Clive quite dryly basically read me a setup, which I then hit with punchline to answer. Like, that's kind of the dream situation where I think I would get those sort of things. And I think it's quite, if you watch it a few times, like you said you did in Lockdown, Harry, it can get quite sticky in the brain. I think those lines, the rhythms of the lines as well. Particularly, I think I'd be rubbish if I had to read a book to learn something, but I can listen to something and watch something and learn it. So I think that it can be as deep and dense like a show like that can be. I think there's always going to be things that really do stick with you.
Yeah,
I will say, I think on one of the celebrity ones, I think Ed Gamble picked 30 Rock.
Yes, he did, didn't he? Yes,
and that had the same energy of it was set up punchline. As the comment says,
because basically any quotable. When so-and-so says this, what does he reply? You can see it coming up. So you really have to you can't just get away with the generalities and describe the answer. You've got to give the answer. Chris is also saying a subject of, hang on. No, that's Pam. Jumping in, never heard of
that doesn't surprise me, Pam.
Just
I don't
dive in.
I don't know if it would be for you, Pam. It's quite reference heavy, but it's amazing. I recommend it.
It really is.
My boss at work is watching it because I said he should. Watch it. It's great.
I have to say, and before I bring up Chris's comment, the thing where I kind of realised that this was not just a very funny show, a very clever show, was the point at which I think it was like in series 1, there's one mention of Beetlejuice. In series 2, there's a mention of Beetlejuice. In series 3, when Beetlejuice is mentioned for a third time, he walks across the background, and it's just a throwaway gag that you wouldn't know.
I don't think people really noticed that until at least 2 or 3 years later online.
And it's also saved for the Halloween episode, so it's someone walking past in costume, so it fits with the plot.
It fits perfectly. Yeah,
it's a
good show.
And related to Community, Chevy Chase being a knob would be very deep on its own.
Sadly, there's a lot of occurrences to study.
Yeah,
an entire one on the personal life section of his Wikipedia.
So yeah, Mastermind, great episode tonight, great winner. I think she's definitely going to be one to watch. Just with a general knowledge like that, you know that if she aces her specialist subject again, she's always going to be in with a chance of making the final. So brilliant, well played to her. But as ever, well played to everybody who puts themselves up for it, because it's quite an examination. It is quite the test. And there are lots of people who talk a good game, but these people put themselves forward to play it. So well done, all of them. Now, talking of playing games, it was almost as if I planned that, and I honestly didn't. Subject to audit, these are the points scored tonight. A bunch of you got 1 point. Toby Atala got 2, Simon Coppell 4, Philip Isaac 6, Tim Hall scored 8 points. Now, there are 5 categories you can guess in each of the 4 specialist subjects and the general knowledge. Tim managed to get points in 4 out of those 5 areas. The guy is a machine.
He's back to the form he had last season, Gareth. He was smashing it last time. I'm going to say it, Tim. I've been disappointed so far this season, but he's come crashing back to the top where he deserves.
He finally put the time in. So well done to him. So what does that mean for the table now? The full table is going to be on our website in the results section. So if you're not shown on this next slide, don't worry. We have got your results. Hang on, Chris is doing OMG. Indeed, that's a sort of fantastic performance. So the leaderboard looks like this. Ed Mason is still top, courtesy of a very good week. Philip Isaac is in second, but Tim Hall has pulled himself into a share of third with Huang Yi and Pam Douglas and Tim Hall. And Yi, yet again, he's answering or predicting questions based on things that it's not home turf for him, and still getting points. So well done. But well done to everybody. I'd say the full table is available in the results section of our website, or if you want to sign up for our newsletter, there'll be a link to it in that. So I think that's that for that one. Let me remove that. Oh no, hang on. Just to let you know, next week's topics is the Battleship Bismarck, Syd Barrett of Pink Floyd fame, Federico Garcia Lorca, and the life and career of Magic Johnson. So once again,
what mix again,
yeah. So get your predictions into tinyurl.com/mm-predict-23. So, yes. Before we look at University Challenge, I've got to try and remember what I played. I didn't play this one. Have you been waiting for a range of quiz merchandise to come on the market? Then wait no more. Whatever type of quizzer you are, whether you're a flashcarder, or you quiz with pride, or want to celebrate great quizzes like Millionaire Champions, or Bill McCaig, the king of 15 to 1, or your favourite TV shows, or even your favourite YouTube channel, where do you go? The answer's loading. It's tinyurl.com/ATQ store. So as of last night, Andrew Franco is the owner of a Did Somebody Say Just Quiz t-shirt, which I ordered in the wrong size, but he is taking in the blissful optimism that he will fit in it. I certainly wouldn't. So well done to Andrew. Now, University Challenge. I don't know what to make of this show.
Points.
Hey, Lewis. Sorry?
Points.
Points.
Big points. Huge points.
It was big points. 320 for Edinburgh.
Versus 150.
So 470 point aggregate. We haven't seen that for a long time.
I would love to, one of the big stats guys on Twitter to tell us exactly when the last time we saw anything like that, because that was, frankly, for a team to score 320, even in this new era, like, that's still a mad score. But for the other team to like have a very respectable, and in most seasons, repechage scoring 150, is against them is nuts. I thought it was a really really impressive game, with some really great answers from both teams. Good speed, particularly by Edinburgh, who you know, were really just playing it quick, getting the answers out there, knew what they needed to do. It was another really, really good one. I've been so impressed by everything this series. I think it's been really, really great. I know a lot of people, you know, people don't like change because they're weird like that. But I think the changes have been universally good. Even Amol looking like he's the tiniest man in the world at the start of every episode. But I think it's been fantastic. The question writing has been excellent. There was something that I've written myself that came up this week. Oh, I'd written a pair before on the fact that the subtitles of two Marvel films are also plays from the 50s and 60s. So I was annoyed that I can't use that now because it looks like I'll steal it. But I think it's been just such good stuff. Great range, great answers, impressive players, impressive team performances. It's been a fantastic season. Really excited to start seeing teams again for the second time soon.
Yeah, the interesting thing for me, having been doing this for 4 years, and I've had pretty much the same file on my tablet for four seasons now, with a grid where I write down who gets the bonus set, what the bonus set is, and what the score is at the end of the bonus set. For the first time ever, I came within one line of running out of space on that table. Previously that would never happen. That shows how many bonus sets we got through, what the pace of the game was. It was ferocious. Harry, you presumably now have a different appreciation of the arts of buzzer quizzing, having done buzzer rounds on Only Connect. What do you make of University Challenge?
Well, a little bit of backstory. So I am an Edinburgh alumnus. Obviously biased watching this week's one. And also I was the reserve member of the Edinburgh team in, I think, 2019, the year after they won it. And so I've seen University Challenge sort of up close back in the Paxman era. And I remember back then, I wasn't even watching it, and it was one of the most nerve-wracking, daunting situations I've seen. And I think when we were on it and I was sort of watching from the sidelines, I don't think we ever cracked 200, or if we did, we might have only done it once. And to see Edinburgh come back and get 320 is just nuts.
Huge.
So it was very, very impressive.
I mean, how much can we read into a score like that, Lewis? Because I think for much of that game, Bangor weren't really offering much on the buzzer, and so does 320 flatter Edinburgh? But then did Edinburgh take their foot off the pedal? I mean, what can we read into?
I think it's the same as similar to in the Sheffield match the other week, where they towards the end, I can't remember who they played. Sorry to whoever it was. The other team came back into it because they sort of knew they had the win, and they let them get two or three buzzes, and they made their score look good. But I think Bangor clearly knew their stuff. I think Edinburgh. I think it's impossible for a score to flatter a team in this, because you just have to. You have to keep going. There's so many ways to score points coming from different angles. I always love looking at the stats for bonus percentage conversion or whatever to see how they do. And I'm sure they'll have really high numbers and all of that, because they just were relentlessly answering on everything. And I like that they kept the pace up, even though the show is going quicker naturally. I still think it makes first round matches, because you have that repechage chance. It's great if both teams are going, we just need to get through the questions, answer everything as we can, because the more questions we hear, the more chance that we've got higher points totals. It just makes for really good television. We want to hear questions. That's the magic of it, right? And yeah, I think I think 320 is going to be a really strong score. Like that's even. Is it the highest? Is it definitely the highest so far?
It's up there, definitely.
It's up there. I think we've maybe had something just over 300 as well. But like, you know, that's gonna mean that Edinburgh's a one to watch in this next round, I'm sure.
Yeah. There's definitely feels like there's 4 or 5 really big hitters, and it'd be interesting to see if they steer clear of each other to some degree, or whether there's some unfortunate matchmaking for the sake of thrilling TV. So it's a tricky one. Any particular buzzes that impressed either of you tonight?
No, can't remember any. I'm trying to think about it. Nothing stands out. There was stuff where I was going, "Come on, guys! It's Guy Fawkes. Who else was born in York in 1670? Who else can it be? 1570." And you know, they had to wait for the lyrics to be my baby. Come on, basics, fundamentals.
The one that got me for that, I was like, I heard so I knew the song. I'd completely forgotten the Ronettes as the name. I was watching that, and I see they hadn't buzzed, and I'm just like, okay, there's no chance they get this now. Even with the lyrics, they're already going to know what it is. And then it just seemed to come out of absolutely.
Yeah, I was pleased when they then did get it. Yeah, for some reason that in my mind, I hear the doom, then I have to think, okay, Wall of Sound, Phil Spector, Ronnie Spector, the Ronettes, every single time. Like I've not been able to make that quicker go in my brain anytime. Maybe they were doing the same thing. Who knows? But yeah, I was glad to see they got there because it's a good answer. I really enjoyed those bonuses. I thought that's. I like when they do that sort of the 60s music, even if some of their answers were insane.
I like the tease that there is a solution to the end of the Italian job. I need to find out how that can be resolved. Yeah, I mean, Edinburgh were just good. Somebody put in the chat that Stafford was excellent. You know, neoplasticism, that Saudi Arabia buzz was really good.
That was a great one, yeah.
Hunt was nice and quick. 18, that calculating, you know, the colours on the flags multiplied by the stars. I mean, yeah. And speed on things like Da Vinci, because as soon as you see that picture, that looks like Da Vinci.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's still got to be in. So, I mean, Stafford played really well. Their captain played really well. Yeah, definitely a team to watch. So, well done, Edinburgh. They will, of course, have got themselves a nomination for Team of the Week. We're going to now move and look at the news from the world of quiz. After I remind you that if you have got this far into the show and you aren't already subscribed, be happy, and also helps other people like you to find us. If you like what we do here at All Things Quiz, then please make sure you click the subscribe button. Please also click the like button. That helps YouTube to recommend us to other people like you. You can also share our videos with others and click the notifications button to make sure you're alerted whenever we release a new video. Okay, so I got a little bit asked about face earlier, and I didn't run through the winners of What is the Question. This question by Dean Strachan, the answer was bull, and the very OC style question. The 5th question in this sequence would be a clue with what answer. Who was England's youngest World Cup winner in 1966? Who was Virginia Woolf's sister? Who was the titular Tarantino character played by David Carradine? What is the name of the rounded seed capsule of plants such as cotton or flax? So well done to Dean on getting that correct. This week's topical answer in need of a question is sycamore. We put it out there before somebody knocked it down. People have been putting all their answers in, and you can now vote on the long list at tinyurl.com/WITQ sycamore. And as ever, on Wednesday, we will give you the final shortlist from which you can pick your winner. Now I'm going to have to scoot past Mastermind because did it all the wrong way around. And remind you, last week you voted Quizzer of the Week, Mark Henry. He won the Irish Quiz Championships. Fantastic quizzer is Mark. 2nd was Evan Lynch. 3rd, Brian Craythorne. I think technically all 3 qualified to play for Ireland. So very good day for the Irish, or very good week for the Irish. Team of the Week was Munster. They won the Inter-Provincial Championships in Ireland. So well done to them. Team Northeast had a good performance. Was that, I think, in Cockle? And 3rd was Warwick University for their performance in University Challenge. So well done to all of those. This week's nominations are, once again, too small for me to read. So let me expand it. Loads of full houses this week. Brick Barrientos got an OQL USA full house. Ian Bailey got 7 out of 8 in Quiz League of London. That was a top score, no full houses there. Scott Blish capped a remarkable year for him, winning Mimir's Wells Harvest League. He's also won both International Culture Challenge and Pop Solos. So he's got 3 Mimir titles under his belt this year. Well done, Scott. Patrick Carthy and Steve Coates got OQL full houses, as did Joe Crowther. Andrew Fanco win the ATQ quiz, our quiz last night for our members. Ian Fennell, also one of our members, he won Brain of Britain's Heat 8 today. Well done to him. Patrick Hope got a full house in OQL USA. He Jin Hui won episode 1 of the Chinese National Treasures quiz show. Well done to He. And Kevin Leishon got 14 out of 15 Pop Culture Challenge. In Tom's and Sarah Trevarthen full houses in OQL. Phil Small 7 out of 8 in Quiz League London. Mike Soris got an OQL USA full house, and Jane Hill won the Mastermind tonight. So loads and loads of people winning or up for nomination for Quiz of the Week. Team of the Week, fewer teams, Blind Dates. They beat the high-flying The Syndicate in the Asian Quiz Leagues. The Syndicate past winners of the Premiership Blind Dates were rock bottom, and they won this week to move Blind Dates out of the relegation zone. Broken Hearts were top scorers in the Quiz League of London. Kentish Men, top scorers in Online Quiz League. Name Writers on Strike, top scorers in OQL USA. The Motley Crew won Quiz Nations Asia Pacific. Well done to them. Solomon's family, we've heard about it tonight. They won Only Connect, so they get a nomination. Go on there, Harry.
Oh,
you
shit.
take that celebration. And Edinburgh won University Challenge tonight. And you can now vote at tinyurl.com/QW02OC23. Voting is open until Friday evening. And you can also nominate tinyurl.com/ATQ nominations if you want to nominate a player or team for next week. So some news from the world of quiz. We've got upcoming events. Our next members quiz is 29th of October. You can avail yourself of the opportunity of a free trial if you strategically sign up for a free membership in the week leading up to that. We've got a Quest Grand Prix on the 7th of October. There's a few Quiz Bowl tournaments coming up. ACF Full Mirror in Cambridge, UK Quiz Bowl Open Tournament in Warwick, and Creek Mirror Tournament in Sheffield University coming up. So look out for those. And competitions are open for application. International Culture Challenge starts again in November. Only Connect and University Challenge. No, I lie. Only Connect and Mastermind are looking for contestants. You can apply for both of those on the BBC website, and ITV have a call out for some shows, and the Chinese Poetry Quiz. Look for local announcements. We've got links to all of those in our newsletter. So rather than we put things up here, you can look out for the newsletter if you sign up for that. And a shout out to Guo Ruotian, the presenter of Series 3 of the Chinese National Treasures quiz. That was a nomination, not a nomination, a shout out from Huang Yi. Hey, Lewis is back. So, yeah, I think that's probably it. Yes, that is. So, a reminder that if you go to our website, allthingsquiz.com, you'll be able to find all of that information and all the results and all the leaderboards. And you'll also be able to sign up for our newsletter. And then you'll get that every Tuesday, and you'll never miss out on stuff again, which is kind of the gist of a video I was producing and ran out of time for, which is never miss out on a tournament. So what have we got? Catherine saying, this is the final Quizzy Monday I'll see as a 45-year-old, 46 on Thursday. So happy birthday, Catherine.
Happy birthday, Catherine.
Catherine was saying you were on the buffer go round, but you're back with a...
I every week I get a new issue. Like I solved the previous issue with internet, and then today acted like in a way that it's never done before. But I only missed the news of the week. I know. It's fine.
And what you need to do then is sign up for the newsletter, Lewis, and then you'll never miss the news from the world of quiz again. Look, thanks so much, Harry, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, you were great, mate. Really, really great.
Really, really top. We will be back in touch because by hook or by crook, we will have you back on. You were great. Lewis, wonderful as ever. You're off next week. You are on your holidays, aren't you?
I'm in Tenerife, baby.
Woohoo! Bring us back a stick of rock.
Of course.
And So enjoy that. So
Will do.
and thanks to everybody who's been chatting away in the chat. Again, as ever, we don't know who we're going to have on next week because the BBC don't deign to tell us who is participating in Mastermind. But we will be and we'll be chasing down OC people and UC people as far as possible. So we will have a show next week. We just don't quite know what blend of fantastic chat there will be. Don't forget to vote for What Is the Question at tinyurl.com/WITQ Sycamore, and to vote for Quizzer and Team of the Week at tinyurl.com/QW. Oh God, I'm forgetting it again like I did last week. I'm going to go back. tinyurl.com/QW202OCT23. All of that stuff's now going to be on our socials anyway, because Valerie curates that stuff in an expert way, much more expert than I do reading. So all of that will be out, and we will be back next week. Until next week, have a fantastic week. Don't forget to check out our review of the Popmaster board game. And I did forget to say, you can win the Popmaster board game. All you have to do to win that board game is to be one of our Patreons or newsletter signups, and we're going to draw the winner for the last Quizzy Monday of the month. So yeah, sign up. What an incentive that is. Yeah, we will catch up with you next week. Until then, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.